glad to see your face after such a long time, and it's a single privilege to have this opportunity to share out of what God has given us opportunity to be part of. And I'm very grateful to my brother Getifu for the opportunity to visit us and to see what we are doing from our local level. And I'm glad today that I can share some of our experiences uh, in the years that God has given us to serve God in this particular part of the world. Um, as my mother says, I am Reverend Luka Vandi Uti, and I have a wife and 4 children, and I am seconded from Church of the Brethren, the Ecclesia Yongwa and Nigeria, which is the church that holds the stronghold of the northern east part of Nigeria that was ravaged by Boko Haram. That's where my church is situated in terms of the headquarters. So, but I was seconded to work from scratch on Africa Christian textbooks, and Africa Christian textbooks started some 30 years ago, which you will hear more later. And I'm humbled to be part of this movement to bring closer to our people books that will help to lighten the work of ministers and lecturers in seminary. It was a great opportunity to receive this invitation from my brother Getuku to talk on the topic of sustaining African book publishing through efficient staff management, the journey of Africa Christian textbook. Um, honestly, is a battle, but we do know that with God who has given us the opportunity to serve, we are able to do what we are able to do. And the paper will explore to us the transformative journey of African publishing, ignited by the expansion of Christian mission in the 19th century. A remarkable outcome of this evolution is the Africa Christian textbooks, which we are delighted to share with you today. This organization emerged to provide, from inception, theological literatures and literature-related books, so as to make sure that churches are able to find training easier and be able to put pastors out there strong on the pulpit and the missionaries strong in the field in order to be able to make the ministry lighter for them. And it's the dream of this founding father to make sure that this happen across the 54 countries of Africa. So the paper will be able to give us the innovative recruitment, which is the key secret to our growth, if we may be able to say that. The organizational growth underscores all the power of collaboration, the visionary leadership of the founding fathers, and then the ethical standard being developed right from the beginning, which gave us the ability to move to the successful level we can be counted as one. And we also share the challenges that we encounter in the course of running this organization over time. And it is my desire and hope that at the end of it, we will be able to understand what Africa Christian Textbook went through to be able to make books available and to be able to have the inspiration to bring us to where we are today. Of a truth, the expansion of mission in the 19th century is the cause of what brought about African book publishing. This mission is not only spread through teaching, but also through the modern establishment of printing presses across the nations we have. This marked a pivotal transition in the distribution of literatures. Nigeria is part of this movement, and notably is the establishment of several presses across churches in Nigeria and across Africa, which birthed Africa Christian textbooks as part of this movement in the 20th century. The Africa Christian Textbook as the organization stand as the products of that revolutionary path of missionary work across our continent. And this paper will be able to tell us how it started and how we raised staff and how we were able to push the ministry forward, the strategies used, and the challenges we encountered. Now here is the brief history of Africa Christian Textbooks Acts. It was around 90s, early 90s, that a number of missionaries came together in a conference, a regional conference known as ACTIA, that is the Accreditation Council for Theological Education of Africa. This conference brings together a number of theologians and the theologians alike to meet and be able to discuss the way forward for theological training. And in this conference, the number of missionaries that came together from across the world have one concern. What was the concern? The concern is textbooks. And of a truth, one of these team members that had this meeting is the founding chairman of Africa Christian Textbook. So upon this council meeting, there was a decision to form a formidable way to be able to help Africa have textbooks in Bible colleges, seminaries, and universities alike. So African Christian Textbooks was eventually a product of that meeting. And though the ministry began initially on the table of the founding fathers, the organization was formed in 1993. That was when the people concerned were able to come together and agree on what to do, what is the way forward. And the founding executive director of ACTS, Reverend Dr. J. Garland, was penciled to be the most appropriate person who will be able to spearhead and birth this organization. And he did all that he can to make sure that the organization is constituted and then registered in Nigeria in 1999 and with the corporate affairs of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You cannot register without the board, so the board were also formed, trustees were formed, and this group of missionaries, senior missionaries from across Europe and America, and also top leaders in churches in Nigeria came together, and this was formed. Now, Africa Christian Textbooks is an interdenominational organization that is evangelical in formation and is led by Professor Danny McCain. You can see the picture, and then the lead person is Reverend Dr. C. John Garland. These two people put their head together and formed this strong organization. And with the help of God, ACTS now is a leading provider of theological literature in Nigeria, in Kenya, and other parts of English-speaking Africans, and as well as in French-speaking. ACTS is known for importing wide range of books, textbooks, and theological-related needs from across Europe. And since inception, these two leaders are focused and they are able to respond to the challenges of scarcity of textbooks across Africa. And their heart desire is to make sure that they are able to meet as much as possible the need of training on the soil of Africa. Recently, ACTS celebrated its 30th anniversary, and in this celebration, we have 20 branches across Nigeria. My mother, the chair, said 17, but we have 20 branches in Nigeria, and we have several in Kenya and other parts of East Africa. And we also have locations in Cameroon supplying and meeting the need of the French-speaking part of Africa. Now, the secret in Acts is the fact that right from inception, Africa Christian Textbooks was built on a strong missionary philosophy and ethics, and the sound biblical requirement for anybody to walk in Acts. You must be a true born-again Christian, and you must have encounter and that you are not a stranger in the body of Christ. Now, this single secret made what Africa Christian Textbook is today. And as a result, strong policies were formed, and these policies are used in recruitment and in the way that you will be accepted as a full-time staff. And then we also have a way that will make the conditions comfortable for everybody who is working with us as a staff. Now, because of the policies developed by the early leaders, our recruitment process is termed as very rigid, very tight, and not palatable to some people who want to get it easy. So I will highlight some of the policies and the process we follow through employment. ACTS has two cardinal way of employing staff. Now we have approach to secondment from the church. Secondment means that we write a letter to a church and say, could you give us somebody with the following requirements so as to be able to help us do the following work. Now, most of the people working with the church are clergy or some special people. And one example of it is my single self, which was seconded to act from the beginning to start the work. And as I said from the beginning, I work with ACTS, but I am a staff of EYN, the Church of the Brethren in Nigeria, a church that is an offshoot of Church of the Brethren in America. And so I was seconded. Another way we developed to employ staff is the conventional way, whereby jobs are notified and then letters are sent to churches. We normally don't just send to the open media to look for staff. We send it to churches, we work with churches, we exist for churches, and therefore we recruit our staff from churches. So we send them a letter, and then the letter is announced in the church. When it is announced, staff are allowed, individuals are allowed to apply. And because of the high unemployment in Nigeria, when we ask for 3 people, we will have 120 people applying. And therefore, a very stringent process is put on place. That is by giving opportunity for people to write written exam. And after written exam, they are given, right from inception, we want people who knows how to handle computer. So therefore, there will be computer tests. And after computer test, we also verify and then short list them, because we may spend 1 week or 2 to interview 120 people. Therefore, we shortlist them. And after that, we interview them, stage 1, stage 2, sometimes up to stage 3, after which we will go for background check. And in the background check, we compare what you said, what your pastor wrote about you, what those recommending you, your referees said. We will compare it to the facts on the street and in places where we think we will be able to get the right answer. after which we will shortlist, because we will find out that what church is right and what referee right is just to help the person get job, not through. So we drop those ones, and then we have a final list and we do a final interview, behind which we will now offer them job, and the job will be shown to them, the cost of employing them, and after which we now give them uh, a thorough orientation. Now, the staff orientation is done by the human resource head, the director of human resource, and she normally takes 1 week to groom them through the history of the organization, the mission, the vision, the goals, and all the values, the policies, and the condition of service. After which we meet as a management with those that are successful, and we now allow them to go through another level of training, that is their ability to come home with the several softwares we use, so that they will be efficient in the way they do. Now, as you heard from the beginning, we have over 20 branches in the country. So therefore, after the orientation, they have to stay in the head of operation to be able to familiarize themselves with the softwares we are using. And that will now give them the ability to know our operational guideline. Now, it depends on which department the person will work, and it is in those departments that staffs are placed to be able to come home with what they are being required for them. Those that will work in sales will go to sales. Those that will work in account will go to account. Those who will be in the warehouses will go to the various side of the warehouse. In the warehouse, we have the main warehouse, we have the database management, and then we have those who are responsible for receiving and dispatching, and therefore they are sent to that. Now, after they are able to know the rudiment of working as a staff in acts, they are now deployed to the various branches that they will work, or departments. Now, you may ask me, is anything wrong with our staff or with the system we do? Because um, based on our research, we have few organizations that are able to retain staff after 30 years. Now, later on, we will see the table indicating the number of staff we have and the number of years they have been with us. And this is not different from what the policymakers, the board of the organization, and the management has placed in place a very robust and catching condition of service, which is not necessarily based on money. And so we have the following benefit that I want to share with you as one of the reason why we have staffs that wouldn't like to leave us, because they believe that the benefits are outweighing the money that is being given outside. One of it is that the moment you are given 1 year to stay as a temporary staff before you are able to prove yourself, you are allowed to take loan. These loans can be for paying your rent. It can be for paying family needs or furnishing your room. It could be for family members that have issues. We make sure that your family members are not thrown out on the street because they don't have rent. And within your 1 year training to be a full-time staff, you are allowed to have a loan to look for land, whereby you will be a prospective landowner. And because of this, we have today, out of our over 50 staff, we have 10 people that are proud owners of their own house. And this happens through the way we are able to make loans available for them to own land, to begin to build and to own a house of their own, since rent is very difficult in Nigeria. And apart from that, we also make sure we take over 70% of the medical bills. This is the person himself, the staff, the wife, and 4 children. Additionally, we also help young ones from age 1 to 18. We give them what we call educational subsidy. And whenever you are able to stay 2 to 3 years faithfully working in the service, you are allowed to apply to any university of your choice or college of education or any other schools that can improve you. And we pay full scholarship and even give you opportunity to buy books for you and other things, including the rent that you will stay to study. The organization makes sure that we remain close to your family and make sure that whatever happens to your family, we are there for you. And we also attend events. If there is wedding in the family, we help you. If there are death or loss in the family, we are there to help you. And apart from that, we also help our staff to benefit from what we call bonuses. At the end of every year, we look at staff that have performed well, and we buy deep freezers, we buy household things that will improve their livelihood. And as a result, so many of them are able to earn a lot of respect in the eye of their family members. Outside this, we still look at our staff. If a staff is able to stay for 5 years without defects, we increase the annual leave from 10%, which is the general government one, to 15%. And we now allow that person to enjoy longer leave break from work. And as a result, he finds that as very beneficial to be able to help his family. Now, in arts, we do not allow our staff to remain the same. After 2 to 3 years, we will tell you that you need to go for studies so that you will not be an absolute staff. And so some of them engage in various forms of improving themselves. And we make sure that you do not suffer while you are studying, because we give you in-service, what Nigerians call in-service, and we allow you to grow, develop, and become who you want to be. Apart from that, we also allow room for staff to grow, and we give what we call accountability peering. People you can lay on them, people you can learn from them, and then staff will grow to be who they want to be as a result of that availability of help that is found. Now, the fact is that we have had this idea that is common in Nigeria. I don't know, in other parts of Africa, people run to look for greener pasture. We have had our staff that left us, and the family will come back and say, we are sorry for what has happened, that our spouse left you people. Since when my husband or my wife left you, we have not seen life the same. And we find it strange, and we ask why. And they will put reference to a lot of these things that I have mentioned. And with that, we are able to help to our staff to stay with us as long as possible. Now, one may ask, why are we able to do that? We are able to do that because the founding fathers have what we call missionary heart. They have heart for Africa, and so they developed conditions that are very favorable for anybody who is working in an organization. One of it is the fact that none that is working in acts is outside the church. We have strong link with our churches, and whatever happens in the churches we are interested in, and we connect and make sure that that relationship is kept well. Apart from that, we have so high regard for families. We don't hear anything happening in any family and keep quiet. We are always there for them. And we have a very, very good condition of service that is human. It has a human face and is able to listen to the common need of any of our staff. Apart from that, people are fond of throwing stuff anyhow. In acts, we don't throw stuff. We place stuff where they think they can work well. And equally, we make sure that they are not facing depression because they are sent to a place where they are not interested in. And because of that, we have a strong community life, we have strong family life, and we work together as a family in acts. Apart from that, we have developed a robust cooperative among staff. And some of these people, when they came in, they are not owners of 100,000 in their account. But I assure you that most of our staff that are 5 to 10 years in acts are millionaires already as a result of that cooperative that we formed among ourselves. And so there is no dull moment in any family. There is nobody who will go home hungry. Because of that cooperative, we are able to satisfy the need of our family members and up to extended family members. Acts is mission oriented, and therefore everything we do, we do it as if we are called, like pastors in churches and missionaries in the mission field. And as a result, we come to work prompt, and we work beyond time without asking for additional pay. And as a result, we rely on the fact that our management knows our problem, and we also rely that our staff know our problem. And because of that, we have a strong commitment to ourselves. And so you discover that management makes sure in our 30 years of existence, 25th of every month, every staff has his salary paid. And nobody will come and say, oh, where is our salary? Nobody has such time, because we work as a family, we work as a community, and we work as missionaries in the field. Now you discover that if you look at the table on the chart, you discover we have 2 staff that are between 26 and 30 years. And we also have 9 staff that are 16 years to 25 years. And we have 25 staff that are between 6 to 15 years. And we have 19 that is between 1 to 5 years. Now, one thing that we do for the government of the country is the fact that we train a lot of students for polytechnics, universities, college of educations. And what we do is we give them opportunity to be able to learn the practicality of the courses that they are offering, that are being offered in schools, and thereby when they go to work, it's no more difficult for them. And in the course of that, we are able to also glean and recruit staff that we found as fit for the work we do. And as a result, we have trained hundreds of students from these schools that I have mentioned. And the testimony we are receiving from schools that are not Christian is the fact that those who stood with us went back a changed people. Why? Being that every morning we spend 35 minutes of our time to preach, to teach, and as well as pray. As we are talking now, we have gone over the Bible several times, from Genesis to Revelation, the end of the Bible, several times, exposing, teaching, and training our staff. And as a result, instead of even talking about the knowledge they have acquired, they talk about how close they are to God from working with us in Acts. And these reasons make us somehow unique in the industry of publishing. Now, one of the questions that is central in our modern time is the fact that you cannot go far without embracing technology. And so we in Acts have embraced technological advancement, giving chance to our staff to grow to global standard. And as a result, we have progressively improved and make sure that we grow to a level that we would be able to keep the ministry going through being a leader in training to so many other upcoming publishers. We have several publishers that we have trained. We have taught them how to be an accountable publishing house. And with that, we were able to be successful as a result of the infrastructure that we have put in place. Now, in the course of our journey, from a very humble beginning to now, we have developed and used several softwares which is able to give us opportunity to be accountable, from just common paper to the Excel we are talking about as a general use for figures, to the one we are using at the moment, the retail man. Now, this is able to give us a prudent approach to account for our books in branches, to account for our books in the warehouse, to account for our books in the field, and to account to our leaders that recruited us. And we're able to make sure that we reflect a holistic development in the course of our journey, so that we will be able to be accountable before those who have given us the trust of ministering to people through acts. Now, one will say, oh, this is an evangelical organization. The truth is, no. We have faced a lot of challenges in the course of our journey as an organization. We have had people who are not truthful, and as a result, we have to say bye with them. One of which is our marketing team. We have what we call books on wheel to the churches. And books on wheel is a bookshop on wheel, whereby we can go to any conferences of a church, we can go to any meeting of a church, we can go to any seminary or university and supply them a full library without turning to the left or to the right. Now, this van is so big that it can carry millions of naira worth of books. But this team, which have performed remarkably well, turned around and started doing the opposite. So we incurred substantial amount of money, which is put there to be $13,000. And we have to do away with them by putting a committee, investigate the depth of the loss. And because we are technologically inclined, you cannot be able to go with even single of our paper because everything is computerized. And so as a result, we are able to know every single book that they diverted for their common interest. And so we ask them to refund the money and we dismiss them from service. We have another one, a branch manager and her team that decided to play around with the devices, thinking that if they baptize a computer, that is the end of record. That didn't happen. We put a committee where we are able to dig into the records and then found out that they were dishonest and they ate 6.5 million worth of goods, which is equivalent of over $17,000. In both cases, we make sure that we don't just ask staff to go, we don't just accuse, we make sure that the staff himself or themselves are able to say, yes, indeed, we are wrong. We have done what is not right in the eye of God and people. And we now give them the papers to go because they know they have not done well. And because the condition of service is so definitive, we were able to devise remedies against theft and against mismanagement of funds that are in our custody. Now, we do know that we are not the only organization across Africa. In the course of writing this paper, we discovered that our poverty in terms of resources is very clear. We couldn't find a single book or single attempt that is able to write something about publishing in Africa. And so what we did was to go by questionnaire, by phone call, and making some inquiries so that we will be able to have something to share. And that is to tell us that we are really far behind in terms of what we are doing. What God has given us to share is not shared at all. But we found inspiration from about 4 institutions, one of which is RCCG. They have maintained over years a publishing house, and they are able to satisfy the need of not only Nigeria, but across Africa and the world. Secondly, we have Living Faith Church. This church is able to stand to its name living by publishing so many books that satisfy the local needs of Africans. And we also have Oasis Distribution, both the one in Nigeria and overseas, are able to use proper technology and they are able to serve across Africa. Now, we have learned quite a lot from also Mountain of Fire and Miracle ministries. They are able to publish quite a lot. We are able to learn from Equa Production. Equa Production existed before us. We used to learn from them right when we were very young, and they have maintained the publishing house up to date, even though it's very lean and suffering a lot of challenges, which is common to institutions across Africa. So we have other places which we would have learned from them, but because we don't have that connection available, we are unable to do. We hope in the course of working together, we will be able to have a more robust information about what publishing houses are able to do across Africa. Now, in the course of publishing, we do know that we in Africa, we have a lot of challenges, and these challenges lays from any inequality of authors, publishing houses, and as well as sharing. And we also have lot of distribution shortcomings. And despite this effort, we have seen several organizations overcoming this odds and are able to do something, despite the fact that we have a lot of theft cases, we have a lot of dishonest people, and the mother of all is what we call piracy. Piracy have brought down several big organizations that are in book publishing or book distribution or book selling. And another one is the poor reading culture of our continent. It has also reduced our ability to reach the level we are supposed to reach. But despite all this, ACTS has engaged in different ways to make sure that we are able to overcome some of these issues. And we are also engaged with some of the mentioned organizations and ask them whether they are able to develop strategies to overcome this danger that is causing us to slow from achieving what we are supposed to be. And they also share the same thing, that theft is a common, shoplifting is common, dishonesty is common, piracy is mother of all, and reading culture is really downpour. So it is now left for us as a continent to find ways to be able to fight these phenomena that are retarding our ability to reach where we are supposed to reach. We in ACTS have developed several ways to cut down on theft, to cut down on dishonesty, piracy, and as well, we have engaged several reading clubs, church organizations, and we supply them books that will be able to help them to promote reading culture. Our National Library, and then Library of Schools, and Rotary clubs, and many, we have found them as a good partners. Thereby, we're able to share how we can promote reading cultures in communities, in schools, in churches, and we have found that very helpful. Now, the other question we ask ourselves is that why do we have this poor stewardship that is raging across Africa? It is so common. Why? Then we went into research, taking into consideration the history of ACTS and other sister organizations, and we discovered that it is not only the people that are found to be dishonest or to find doing other things that are wrong that is also wrong, but even the management, the owners, the founding parents are also a problem. One of which is sentiment and biasness in the way we deal with people. Favoritism is a big disease. The Bible hates it, but we found vibrant born-again Christians favoring others on tribal grounds or religious ground, on familiarity, or on some other excuses that are not good, or family member, or some sort of reasons or background. We just choose some people and favor them and then downlook others. And such can really create staff to become so down, some become depressed, and some will now say, this is not the right place for me to be. And as a result, they will leave, or they will go into attitude that are not good because they feel they don't belong to the family. Now, another one is unmerited promotion. People are promoted not because they have performed well, but just because they are from the same denomination or from the same family or the same linkage, and competency is downgraded, and reason in terms of decision making that is supposed to be the key factor of management is not allowed. Unqualified people are leading qualified people, and people who are not supposed to be hired in the first place are hired, and so they are given undue advantage over those who are doing well, and therefore hampers the quality of our work in terms of publishing. Now, another one is accountability. People are allowed to do what they want to do, and they are not accountable, so they can decide to go with money, and stewardship suffers. And even when people are supposed to be recommended before getting a job, some people just get it on the platter of gold. And since there's no justice, then character is at the crossroad. And as a result, you do not get what you want to get from people. Now, another problem we see with the managers of institutions is lack of training. People just go on the street and pick people, maybe primary school holders, so as to be able to pay cheaply, or they will go and pick secondary school dropout or some other sort of people of certificate, and is what you pay is what you get. And as a result, there is no room. When you have well-trained people, when you have well-cultured people, well-mentored people, the growth of an organization will be different. And that's the difference with us. From the security to the highest person in the organization are well-trained. We don't have up to 5 of the over 50 staff we have that has diploma. Most of our staff are well-trained, either degree holder, a master's holder, or professional in their field. And as a result of that, you discover that it brings faster growth. Neglecting training means that you are neglecting professionalism, and then spirituality will also be far from it. And as a result, operation will suffer setback. And so we find that as a common denominator across some of the publishing house. They don't have trained people. They just have people that they just hired just to do the work, and they also spend less in paying. So we need to have professionals, both from their area of specialization and as well as ability to handle other areas of a display. And then we also need spiritual growth. When you get people on the street, you get the street result. When you get people from cultured church setting, you also get high accountability and faithfulness. And because of that, we should be able to train people or pick trained people and pay them well. Now, another part is lack of motivation. We discovered that some of the organizations are just like log of wood. No activities is going on, no motivation, and whatever they are doing is not recognized. And as a result, staff become fed up. Some of them become depressed, and they could not see their goal achieved as a result of being kept in one place for several years. And as a result, some of them will now disengage and fire where they can be appreciated, where they can be used well, and where they can find motivation. So it is good that a management should find a way of engaging, motivating, and recognizing the good work that staffs are doing. Staff looks at management, management looks at staff. Looking at each other in a positive way helps faster growth. Another thing is not understanding the vision and mission of an organization. We discover that in some cases, staff are just there for salary. When staffs are in organizations just for salary, you don't expect growth. What you see is an expression of the local government attitude we have in Nigeria. It is only in local government where a staff will take home, but will never come to work, only to come and sign for salary. And a staff will be in Lagos, and then his working environment is in Maiduguri. It's only in local government. And we find that a common trend among publishers. Some staff are just there for some few days and go somewhere because their needs are not being met up. Now, because of that, it is good for organizations to align their vision and mission to staff. It's good to drum it daily in their ear. It's always good to confess it. It's always to share it and take it as part of life. Write it in the wall. Enforce it in some write-up. Put some key things that they will be able to remember that it is good to be part of the organizations. We find that as very important and helpful in acts, because we have several ways we express our vision. We invite our staff twice a year and we share the vision. We tell them the mission. We tell them why we are here, why they are employed, and what they're supposed to be doing. And if we find somebody going the other way, we remind the person where we are. And we bring our board members. Every year, we bring one board member that will share key part of that organization. And most of them, even though without meeting, tell our staff that we are all missionaries and we are all pastors. And as a result, it tells our staff to know that they are not just ordinary people in a publishing house. They are not ordinary people sharing the vision of the organization, but they are part of it. And as a result, we can share with you today that acts find its growth from a very common stand in acts TCNN to about 20 places across Nigeria, and with hundreds of distributors across the nation. And we find ourselves in East Africa. We find ourselves in Cameroon and its environment. And very soon we will open one of our branch in Liberia. This did not happen out of blue. It is a commitment from the founding parents and as well a robust management. Now, we can say in conclusion that it's true that the evolution of African publishing transited from a low beginning to a present level we are in arts. Arts growth is remarkable. It is very shocking to many people, but this did not happen just from blue. It is the influence of the visionary leadership of Professor Danny McCain and as well as Reverend Dr. Sid Gallen, whom did not count themselves too high to come to the lowest level, and who were able to develop a condition that will be relevant to even somebody from the West, putting a very strict recruitment process and giving a very robust condition of service, thereby giving a strategy of retaining and keeping staff to stay not only in 5 years, not only in 10 years, not only in 20, not only in 25, but up to 30 years. Now to us, this is God's doing, but also the handwork of visionary leaders, leaders who are able to see the problem of Africa, leaders who are able to know our cry. And today, we are grateful to God to have published over 300 books to the glory of God and to the benefit of the body of Christ. We can say that ACTS is a strong organization in terms of workforce, strong in church relation, strong in people management, strong in leadership, and strong in vision and mission. We live to address the problem we have commonly as been told to us by the African Speaks, and we are inspired by the fact that these people who left their own country are able to come and sacrifice themselves to work with the indigenous people. And today we are able to train hundreds of authors in the headquarters and environment, in their environs. We have lasting relationship with churches, thereby we are able to liaise to train their pastors to write books. And we also have good lesson from relying on technological growth. thereby making work for us easier and relevant to our growth. With this contribution, we see acts going to the 54 countries that we have across Africa, God helping us, and with you praying for us. We know the power of literature is more than anything. And so we believe that with commitment and with collaboration, with sound leadership ethics, and with well-written policies on ground, we can see us going places, making our education easier, making spiritual growth easier, and lightening the darkness of Africa to the expected level, hoping that this will happen in years to come when God says it will happen. I find it as a pleasure and privilege to be able to share some of these things that God has given us as an institution. Thank you very much, and God bless you as we face a common problem that requires the effort of all of us. God bless all of us, and God bless Africa. Thank you.